They call him Seatin, the man of legends.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is up? It is Seatin here. I'm here today with Dev Anony. Would you like to say hi?
Hey.
And we're going to be looking through one of the latest raids, The Bindings of Blood Maelforge, which is coming out with a patch 2.7, which is actually already out. So he's going to give me a bit of a tour of the raid, and we showing off Maelforge himself and talking about the difficulty and some of the mechanics, and showing off some generally quite awesome stuff. So let's get started then.
Alright.
Okay,
You'll
so...
notice this.
Oh, so sorry, go on, Anony. I'm interrupting you there.
You'll notice this is the original Maelforge area where the fight first took place, unlike Lathis, where she was bound in Charmer's Caldera. We actually wanted to follow the lore very carefully in terms of where the bindings occurred.
That is very cool. So, if I've got this correctly, this sort of first platform where, you know, you in the original Infernal Dawn raid you fought Maelforge has been turned into like an entire area for the mini boss in this instance.
That's right.
Which is called Magicillion the Unborn. Did I pronounce that correctly, or?
You did.
Ah, wonderful. That's a very, very rare occurrence.
So go ahead and spawn him for us.
Okay, that'll be very cool. I love this so much. Look at him in his big lizard form. So it's basically a Sembora.
Alright, I'll pin your health so you don't die.
Yeah, that would probably be a wonderful idea. Okay, so in regards to this mini boss, what mechanics does he have? Does it incorporate the lava or anything at all?
So during the first phase, you're going to be fighting him primarily on this platform. You're going to be dodging ground attacks. You're going to be controlling positioning to prevent everyone in the raid from getting burned alive. You're going to be trying to keep up with the purge. As you'll notice, every time he attacks you, he gains veracity.
I see that. What's he channeling at the moment? Volcanic Fury.
So that will kill the entire raid unless the shield is broken and that ability is interrupted.
I see there's also a tether.
So your health at 10,000 instead of 1.
That is very cool.
That gray screen.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We can help up after this. So it seems like there's going to be quite an interesting boss. So does he have any sort of later phases? Is there any hardened rage on him, or?
The hardened rage is about 5 minutes, and it will be fatal to the raid at 5 minutes 10 seconds. Like, absolutely.
Okay, so he just full enrages then and increases the damage.
So at 50% health, we have Maelforge fly in and take over this platform, and if you remain on the platform, he's going to kill you.
Okay, so you have to get off pretty damn quickly. I'm just trying to evacuate now.
You'll notice when you jump, you're actually carried over to these smaller platforms here.
Ah, yes, I see.
And you're going to be pulling him around and fighting him on these various platforms while he uses that ground fire attack and basically starts taking away your fight space from you. It will be a game of...
oh my god, this is stupidly cool.
DPS
I'm loving this.
The ground fire is coming down.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yep. In addition to that, what else are we doing this phase? Oh, that's right. He's not using it right now because my dev form is blocking it, but he has a frontal cone attack that will annihilate most people in front of him, so the tank's going to have to be very carefully controlling him to not accidentally face any destination the raid is headed to during the jump.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So in regards to melee DPS on this boss, because I know there are usually quite a few concerns about the viability, is it melee friendly at all?
So we actually chose to address this in an interesting way. We increased the range of all players in the raid, melee and ranged alike, to be able to hit him while they're spread out on these platforms. We didn't want it to be a situation where melee would suddenly become unviable for the first half of the fight, when it would obviously be critical to surviving the Volcanic Fury ability.
Ah, that's very, very cool, because I know like one of the original quirks of the Maelforge fight was it was very melee and friendly.
Alright, here's the actual Maelforge fight, and in this part of the fight, the heroes that you saw downstairs that were probably going through their vignettes in the background while we were talking, actually come into the fight and will join you. So you can take control of them and gain a special ability that you can use periodically during the fight.
Okay, that's very cool. So the fight starts up here, as opposed to down on the spire where it did originally. Is there any reason for sort of removing the spire from the fight?
So the fight space below in the spire we found was actually very difficult to work with, remaining melee friendly and also remaining interesting in terms of mobility mechanics, because if we used ground-based attacks, there was this gap that people had to try and jump across, and it wasn't really reliable that they could get across. Small losses in frame rates would cause people to fall to their deaths, and it would be no fault of their own. We wanted to take that away and make it more about player skill and reaction with a fairer play space, basically. So we put a lot more mechanics up here into the final fight and made it more about fighting Maelforge than it was about fighting any of the ads.
Nice, I'm very excited to see Maelforge himself then. That sounds like a very, very good idea. I remember like the original fight had like this minute of just kind of jumping up steps that you had to do, which didn't really add anything to the fight in all honesty, because it was just extremely trivial. So I'm kind of glad to see there's a good reason that that's been removed. Okay, so should I pull Maelforge? Would you like to pull him? I see he's almost gone.
Maelforge.
A juicy, fat 300 million health
right
there.
now is about a week and a half old, not reflecting the final difficulty. But Maelforge, at the start of the fight, uses an ability called Cinderstorm, which is an AoE dot that's applied to the raid periodically and must be cleansed very quickly. Right now he's using Implosion, which is this giant wall of fire closing in around us. When Implosion passes you, it silences you, and it does a modest amount of damage. But if your healers or ranged attackers get silenced, then you lose a huge amount of DPS and potentially the tank dies.
Yes.
Right now his tank damage is absolutely astronomical. I'll also notice that as he goes on, he's putting circles of fire on the ground where I'm standing. This is going to be happening to the tank. The tank will have to very carefully position where these circles are left, because they persist for a very long period of time, and they will instantly kill non-tanks. So, as you notice, there are fire circles spawning on the ground right beneath me periodically as Maelforge attacks me. Now, these fire circles are spawned on the tank's position and have to be carefully placed around the raid while the tank moves the boss. The tank is also gaining stacks of unstoppable bleeding, which must be addressed by using these pillars of fire here, the ones that spawn on the grates. So these pillars of fire will outright kill non-tanks, again, but they are critical for tanks to stay alive, to actually get hit by them and stop the unstoppable bleeding.
It's looking very cool.
Yeah. At the same time, the tank can't accidentally leave a path that locks the DPS in with those circles that have been spawning all the way leading to the grate. Alright, let's push him down a little bit further. First air phase.
Okay, so there are footholds spawning everywhere by the look of it. I've currently got the UI turned off. And these Trintum cores. So
these footholds, unlike normal footholds that spawn with invasions, these are actually armed to blow. If anyone gets close to them, they will detonate and kill everyone within 15 meters. If anyone gets a little bit close to them, they'll be silenced and they'll start taking damage. So you'll have to navigate the raid around the fight space to get to this crystal and destroy this crystal before the timer runs up. Otherwise, the raid is dead.
22 million. Quite the DPS check there.
Just a little bit.
I think that's pretty much the health of like Galidra in Frozen Tempest, which I'm sure people are going to love. Okay, so he's going around.
Yes, he picks the cores he starts at and goes to next at random. He only does 2 of the 3 cores, but the intention of doing 2 is to ensure that the raid will always have to navigate the minefield that is basically spawned over the fight space.
And how many of these air phases are there? You mentioned this was the first one. So what are happening with it, like the later ones? I'm very excited to see those.
Well, I'll show you. So, once we're back in the ground phase, he's getting more aggressive than he was before. He's using an ability on himself that requires somebody to purge it off, otherwise the raid starts taking very large amounts of damage. And the fight stays somewhat the same as it was in the first ground phase, beside that, but it gets a little bit harder to stay alive. We have the blinding light mechanic, which fairly self-explanatory. It's the blinding light. Don't look at it, otherwise you'll lose most of your mana.
I think that's what just drained my mana then. I was trying to figure out what it was.
And Scream of Chaos also drains mana, but it's interruptible.
Ah, that's the one that's draining me at the moment. I see the dot on myself. Okay, so he's flying up in the air again, and this is only 60% of the fight. Well, he's only on 60% at the moment. So it looks like we got some lovely golems coming from a couple of sides.
So these are Pyronite demons that, until they're ignited, will take very little damage. Once they're ignited, they will do damage to the raid, and they will take a large amount of damage, including from those fire waves. And once they die, they will leave a very, very long-lasting pool of fire on the ground that must be carefully positioned because it's going to be here for pretty much the rest of the fight. You're going to be trying to dodge waves and lead these things into the fire from the grates and position them where you want them to die during this phase. And you only have a set period of time to do it before Maelforge comes back.
I like it a lot. I've always been a fan of kiting mechanics, so this is really, really awesome.
This is actually where one of the heroes comes in, Nazim.
Yes. I forgot about the heroes then for a moment.
Yes, Nazim, I can't remember what his title is. Yes, the Riftblade. He has the ability to open a hole that will summon instantaneously any of these golems to any location that you want them to go. So basically you can have one person trying to manage one golem into the grates and so on and so forth.
That's very cool. I see they're all up and still chasing, so...
Yes, you will have to kill them at some point. But we don't, since, you know, we're immortal.
Yeah, it does have its perks. Okay, so we're going down to 40% of Maelforge's health now. Go down to 30 even more.
Going into the next air phase.
Is this the final air phase, or...?
Kind of. Not exactly.
I see there was kind of a phoenix-type creature.
That's the Raw Rana Fate. Like the Draconoth of Fate appeared in the Greenscale raid, the Raw Rana Fate appears to assist Maelforge, but Maelforge is a much more powerful entity than Greenscale is, and he experiences time while Fate is intervening, which is why the Raw Rana appears instead of the Draconoth. At this point in time, she's actually reversed the critical wound that was inflicted on Maelforge by Regulos when he fought and defeated Regulos' dragon form, and restored him to mostly his full power, which is why he's proceeding to devastate us right now.
I know that the screen's going crazy, there's fire everywhere, it's shaking. This is going to be one epic raid experience for a 20-man group to try and endure.
So, at this point, Maelforge's abilities in terms of tank damage are turned up to 11. Everything is hitting ridiculously hard. It's going to be a struggle for every second that you're alive, and all of the mechanics are still in play. Blinding Light has been replaced by something much more aggressive called Fusion, which I won't quite explain the mechanics of, but I will tell you that if you mess up at all, you're going to kill the raid.
That's fine, you know, you do want to keep quite a few secrets in regards to an encounter like this. So what are your kind of... I know it's sometimes hard to predict and estimate when bosses are going to die, but how long do you think it's going to be before somebody gets even close to a kill on Maelforge?
I would say it's probably going to be at least a month before anyone gets down to the last phase, honestly.
Wow.
The very, very last part here is... It's an incredibly tight DPS check, and I think that's going to be a challenge for people to meet while surviving these mechanics. Once they have that down, they still have a very, very demanding ending component here.
I see he's channeling a supernova at the moment, which kind of looks like the final ability on Warden Frax. You have to quickly kill him before he... But this is 10 times more epic. Oh my god. I can...
actually trying to get rid of him because they know they can't kill him.
Where is he trying to banish him to?
You can't banish Maelforge entirely to another plane, but you can partially lock him in the plane of water.
That explains all the water VFX.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of first look / sneak peek at Maelforge. It's looking like a pretty damn beastly encounter. It just looks crazy. I, for one, am very, very upset at the moment that I'm not at the level of hardcore rating that I'm going to have any chance of even attempting to fight this boss. But for sort of the end tier raiders, it looks like it's really, really going to bring a challenge. And also, just as a heads up, as you can see by the achievements, I just did get a legitimate confirmed world first. So, I am the best. No, definitely not. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the video. I hope you found it entertaining and enjoyed it. If you want to see more stuff like this, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Take care and have a wonderful day.